Okay, now that I got that working. Hello, welcome to Elmira College's Teacher Education Program. My name is Taylor Shemansky. I am an admissions counselor here at Elmira. I work with all students from Pennsylvania, Maryland, Washington, D.C., Virginia, Delaware, and New Jersey. During this, you can submit any questions down below to the Q&A tab at the bottom. We will have the Q&A towards the end of the presentation, and this is being recorded for the future, just so you guys know, but I will hand it over to Dr. Johnson.
Hi, I'm Dr. Johnson. I'm the Director of Teacher Education at Elmira College, as well as an Assistant Professor of Inclusive Special Ed. I have been at the college for 4 years now, and I'm going to introduce to you some of my students. We'll start with you, Bella.
I'm Bella. I'm from Lake George, New York, upstate area. I'm a childhood and special ed education major with a concentration in biology. I like EC because we get a lot of opportunities here with it being such a small campus. We can get really close with our professors, ask any problems if we have any issues. I also play softball here, so that's another reason I like EC.
And Lindsay?
Hi, I'm Lindsay Smith. I'm from Moravia, New York. I'm a junior triple major in childhood education, childhood special education, and art with a concentration in math. One of the reasons why I love EC is because it is such a small campus where everyone knows everyone, and we have like small class sizes. We also have like that ability to engage in a lot of different clubs and sports and activities on campus. A few of them that I'm in is I'm a resident assistant. I'm also a student worker in campus life, and I'm the president of Teach Club. So those are just a few things that I'm involved in on campus. I think that was everything.
Thank you. So I'm going to get started talking to you a little bit about our program, and then we'll open for Q&A at the end, and the students can help to answer some of your questions. Sorry about that. Okay, so why teach? I think, one of the biggest things when you're in high school and still trying to figure out what your major should be in college, there are some things that could draw you to education. First and foremost, the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of young children. Our programs cover grades kindergarten through 12. And, that's a big draw for people, that you can work with kids and make a difference in their lives. Teachers can work all over the world, so that's another big thing. So you don't really have to decide where you want to live or what you want to do particularly, but you can, if you go into education, you can decide to teach education in another country, to teach English in another country, and really see the world. There is a sense of job security in education that is something, a big draw for individuals, the pension, health insurance, and union protection. And it also gives you the opportunity to stay connected to your hobbies. Sports, coaching, theater, music, and clubs are all a big aspect of our K-12 schools. And if you go into education, you will have an opportunity to continue those. Another big thing is, I think sometimes students are interested in education, but they're not really sure if they want to spend their time in front of a classroom of students all day. We like to think at EC that your bachelor's degree is just the beginning. So with continued studies in education, it can open doors to curriculum development jobs, positions as athletic director, school and district administration like assistant principal, or superintendent, education policy, grant writing. You could go on for an MFA, an EDD, or a PhD even. So your bachelor's degree is really just the start. There's really a lot of job security in teaching. We're actually experiencing a teacher shortage right now, and that's worked to our advantage at EC. For the past several years, all of our graduates have obtained employment or enrolled in graduate programs within 3 to 6 months after graduation. So we're seeing a high placement rate, which is ultimately the end goal for most of our students coming out of their bachelor's programs. Teacher education at Elmira College. So what are your options? We have a program in childhood education, which is grades 1 through 6, certification to teach grades 1 through 6. Childhood special education, again, grades 1 through 6, but in the special education field. Visual arts education, which is all grades K through 12. And adolescence education, grades 7, 12. And I'll get into a little bit more about those specific majors as we move through the presentation. At EC, our students really become confident educators over their time in our program. We value the experience that our students have in K-12 settings, and so we begin those early. All students begin in schools in the first term of their sophomore year, and over a 3-year period, they are in schools for over 1,000 hours. That's significant. So by the time they get to student teaching, they feel pretty comfortable in front of a class of students. Our small class sizes mean that our students have consistent support all the way through the program. They, right from that first practicum, they really have support in lesson planning as well as guided support in classroom management. We have a general philosophy at the college of inclusivity, and we embed that right into our education program. Our schools are incredibly diverse, and we recognize that. So our teacher education program puts inclusion right at the center of everything we do. We do have a dual certification program so that you can add on a special education certification. If you're seeking our childhood program, we're looking to extend that into our 7 through 12 program over the next few years as well. And we teach our students through our courses how to teach students from diverse backgrounds, whether it's teaching them restorative practices for positive classroom management or how to differentiate instruction. We really value that diversity in the space. We try to give our students really diverse school-based settings as well. So they almost always have a rural placement in their practicums or student teaching. And then in the city of Elmira, we often place them right into the Elmira City School District for at least one placement. We've got students in public schools, private schools, and charter schools as well. Teacher candidates at Elmira College develop the belief that all children can learn. With inclusivity really at the center of what we're doing, we teach our students how to fill their toolkit of strategies for how to best help all students. Our practices are grounded in data and assessment. So we teach our students how to assess their future students and use that data to help inform their instructional decisions. It sounds like a lot of information, but ultimately our teachers are ready to go into really diverse settings and they really feel prepared to help each student in their placements learn and grow. As I mentioned before, field-based experiences are really designed to gradually expose our teacher candidates to full teaching responsibilities. We have a required first-year course called EDU 1010, Introduction to Education or Foundations of Education. In the sophomore year, we begin our practicums. Our students go from observing to one-on-one assistance. And then in the junior level practicums, they're doing small group work. They're leading some lessons, but really refining their skills. They're still observing and taking ideas in. And then they fully accept teaching responsibilities in their senior year in student teaching. During student teaching, our students develop a portfolio. We call it the Ed TPA or the Elmira College TPA. This is different from the New York State TPA. We have one that we use internally, and it helps our students to use data to drive and refine their own teaching strategies. So in the student teaching placements, they record themselves teaching a lesson, and then they develop a plan for how they can improve their practice through their student teaching experience. I mentioned before that when students take advantage of multiple certification options, they become even more marketable upon graduation. So we have multiple certification areas that you can add on, so to speak, to make yourself even more marketable. So if you are in a childhood education program, you can add on an early childhood extension for 2 courses, and that allows you to be certified in birth through grade 2. So you add on that early childhood, the early childhood years to your certification. We have a dual certification program in childhood and childhood special education. Currently, almost all of our students are going through that dual certification pathway. And if they do that, they'll pretty much never be without a job, because there are always positions in both of those fields. We also have a middle school extension, which is really appealing to our adolescent students who may want to teach in a middle school placement as well. Although we do have some childhood students who also seek that middle school extension. We encourage our students to add on these additional majors and certification areas to increase their job marketability. What we really want them to be able to do is get hired and start earning some money after they get out of college. In many districts, more certifications equal a higher starting salary. So that really helps in that process as well. But sometimes I have students come to me and they're like, well, I want to add on, I want to also study in this other field, but I'm not sure I actually want to teach it. Just because you are certified in a certain area does not mean you have to accept a position in that area, but it certainly does look appealing on your application when a school district can see that you have these additional certification areas. Here are some pictures of our students in their field placements. Our field placements consist of anything from after school tutoring programs to classroom-based experiences. You can see here, this is an after school program in Horseheads. They're teaching their students how to cook. They've made some pizzas there. So, you know, every couple of years, we change up our practicums to appeal to our students and to work with our districts. Beyond the teacher education program, beyond education in general, we do have a lot going on our campus. Our students have a lot of opportunities to continue their interests outside of their majors, and we recognize that they're busy people. You know, the students we have here tonight that will answer your questions at the end can certainly speak to their engagement in these areas. We have esports, we have athletics, dance line is very popular for our students. The arts, our students have opportunities to take ceramics, furniture design, and photography in college. And then lots of clubs like Teach Club, as Lindsay mentioned before. We're nestled right in the city of Elmira, and our students really leverage those experiences. Our students become very engaged with our local community. So I've just grabbed a couple of spotlights here. Alex, he's just jumped on the call. He is an art focus, and he helped to repaint the horses at our local Eldridge Park and made a news heading. We have Maria Antonio. She's written books and has gone into our local schools and taught students about promoting inclusion and kindness. And here is Hannah Whittier. She runs an after-school program in the city of Elmira, and she's recruited a lot of college students to help in that initiative. Another thing that sets us apart from a lot of your education colleges, certainly your state schools and things like that, are our term 3 travel courses. We do run on trimesters at Elmira College, and term 3 travel is very popular. term 3 is a little bit different. Our travel courses are a little bit different than your typical study abroad because it's Elmira College faculty that lead the trips. So this term 3, I'll be leading a trip to Italy. We'll go to Rome, Florence, and Venice for 2 weeks, and we'll be developing curriculum based on the New York State standards and collecting primary and secondary sources. It really, with the professors guiding these trips, it really draws the connection between what our students are learning in their classes and what they're experiencing outside their classes. And I will, allow the students to answer some of the questions you may have about that later on. Most recently and near and dear to many of our hearts on this call, research opportunities for research at Elmira College, not just in teacher education, but a lot of the different majors allow students opportunities to do research with faculty members, conducting, analyzing, and then even presenting the research at regional and national conferences. Just last week, 3 of us on the call were in Kentucky at the Council for Exceptional Children Conference, and our students stood in front of the poster and shared their research with over 5,000 people who came to the conference. So really great opportunities. In terms of presentation, I'm going to stop talking now and give our viewers an opportunity to ask questions.
2 already came in.
Great.
One of them is, how do you sign up for multiple majors, and are there certain rules regarding double or triple majoring?
Lindsay. Lindsay, maybe you want to talk about the advising and how we sit down and kind of go through all of that and how you landed at 3 majors.
So when I was in high school, I took a lot of credits that were dual enrollment through our local community college that actually transferred in, which was really cool. I also took AP credits in high school that I scored high enough to have them transfer. So it kind of set me a little bit ahead in terms of our pillar system. So usually, at least once a term, you'll meet with your advisor, and mine is Dr. Johnson. So we've had a lot of meetings over the past few years to try to figure out my scheduling and when I want to add in or change my concentration. That's kind of like something we've been able to figure out. So I was originally double major in childhood ed and childhood special ed. And then I was like, okay, I've taken a lot of art classes. Can I bump something up to an art minor? So I'm using that and getting credit for that too. And I was like, you know what? I'm a little bit ahead, so let's just, go above and beyond and try and pick up that 3rd major. So it's a lot of planning, a lot of sitting down with your advisor and trying to plan out not just like the terms that like following the one you're currently in, but also like, okay, what's the next 2-3 years going to look like?
Sorry, I couldn't unmute. Awesome. And then the second question is, do you have training programs for foreign citizens?
I guess I'll jump into that. Yeah, we most certainly do. What you would get at the end of your program at EC is a bachelor's degree in education, either childhood special ed, or adolescence ed. And you would be, let me think how I can describe that, certified specifically in the state of New York. New York State is one of the most rigorous states in terms of education in the country. So coming out of the program, a lot of our students have reciprocation. They can move to another state in the country and they can go right in with their New York State certification. Every once in a while, they have to take a test or do some other kind of training, a workshop or something in order to get certified in another state. Certainly, if you were going to leave the country, still that New York State certification can help you land a position at an international school without a problem. And a lot of different countries still value the education program in the US. So we'd have to look specifically at how things would transfer, but certainly there are opportunities for that.
Sorry, I was writing back. There aren't any more questions right now. Do you have more to the PowerPoint, or I have a couple questions that I can ask the students?
Yeah, ask up, Taylor.
Oh, okay. All right. So the one that I have is what, and you all three of you can answer, what classes challenge the way you think or view like the education world or just like anything?
I'll go first. The inclusion classes that we had to take, really like flipped my mind, like thinking about like including everyone versus like just gen ed versus just special ed. So like those kind of like put me into a position to like see education in a different way.
I'll jump in too. I want to apologize. I ran around for like 10 to 15 minutes trying to figure out my Zoom. It was a mess. I'm sorry. I'm Alex. But I think the class that really kind of sparked everything for me was Foundations of Education freshman year. I mean, right when you got onto campus, that was one of the first classes you took, and you learned so much just early on about, you know, where education comes from and really how we are going to use that through the rest of the time, like being at college. So that class really set me up, you know, for success, I think.
I'll jump in now. I think a lot of our inclusion classes, like Bella had said, like those really like switch our mindset and kind of like train us to like view education like everyone should be included, and like they really prepare us for what life is going to be like after college and in our like field. I think coming from high school to college, we were transitioning from student to pre-professional student to soon to be, for some of us, in like less than 6 months or in a year or two, to like whole professional adult teachers. So I think these classes are really, really great at preparing us for what we're going to see in the real world.
Nice. And then I have one that might be for Alex. Can you tell us more about the visual arts education program?
The visual arts education program here is fantastic because both the education professors and art professors, and I'm not being biased, are the best. So like the professors in both departments are amazing, and you make the best connections with both. So, and both give you so many opportunities, and you really get to be close with your professors here. So to have that support, once you start needing, you know, like letters of recommendation and those types of references, is huge. So I think that's been the best part for me about the art education standpoint.
Okay, and then I have another one. A student asked if they can be an athlete while being an education major.
I can take that one. Yes. It's a lot of time management. It can be difficult at times, but most of us do it. A lot of people are on sports teams while still having a couple majors. You just really, I like to set like a to-do list up. So like I have my day by day, each day set up time by time. That's how I do my time management, but you just gotta like stay on top of things. It's really not as bad. It's kind of like high school. It's not too bad, especially if you're just playing one sport. Yeah, definitely can do it though.
I would say that Bella, all of you really, but I've noticed with Bella, when her time gets crunched, she tries to work ahead a little bit. And so she'll hand things in a little early and ask for feedback. So she's buying herself time to make sure she's getting the feedback she needs and then still getting the grade that she's really achieving for. And you pretty much do that for every project. You get it in a little early, have someone view it, a professor view it, and then get the feedback and tune it up as necessary before you hand it in for real.
Awesome. And then another one just came in, they're really coming in now. If a childhood education student decided to do the middle school edition, would that mean they can teach elementary through middle school?
Yeah, if they did the middle school extension, that would mean that they could teach through grade 9, actually. The only tricky part about that is that you have to pick up, in order to do the middle school extension or adolescence education, you have to pick up a second full major in the content area. So when we get into middle school, so if you think about it this way, when you get into middle school, you start to have your content teachers that are separate. So you've got your science teacher who is someone different than your math teacher, right? So you do have to pick an area and then develop that into a full major in order to have the middle school extension. We had someone recently do this. She has 3 majors as well. She's childhood ed, childhood special ed, and English. And then she pushed that into the middle school extension, and she's graduating on time. Actually, she finished a little early. She started some master's courses. But again, it's time management. Lindsay talked a little bit about wanting to pick up 3 majors, and pretty much every time we talk about it, I'm like, are you doing okay with this? Are you still doing okay with this? If she ever came back to me and she was like, I want to refine this, I want to change it a little bit, that's fine. But she's setting her goals high and she's keeping herself on track to that. So I think it's all about getting that face-to-face time with your professors, and then really staying on your schedule and staying focused from the start. So stay focused from the start.
And then another question, are there any on-campus job or volunteer opportunities you would recommend for an education major in particular?
Does anybody want to answer that? Go ahead, Lindsay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Okay, go ahead. You're
Go
up
ahead,
next, Alex.
Okay.
One that I found really, really helpful is my job in the tutoring center. I tutor a range of courses. My main course that I do tutor is math for teachers. So I found that one very, very helpful in preparing me for teaching, because it's like practice teaching or teaching a one-on-one or sometimes review sessions. So that kind of prepares you for differentiation and applying to the different learning styles of different students. So that's really helpful.
And mine was similar to Lindsay's in the fact that freshman year, I had the opportunity to go to a nearby school and like be a part of an after school tutoring program. So you were able to get paid for it or get volunteer hours, which I chose to do volunteer hours because you have to meet those at some point as well. So to have opportunities off of campus is also available, as well as on campus too.
We do have an America Reads program, and I don't know if that's the one you're referencing specifically, Alex, but you can get paid to go into the schools, as Alex was saying. The college itself will pay you for those hours if you qualify for that program.
Nice. And then another question, are there specific study groups for education students?
Maybe we'll go back to you, Lindsay. Do you want to talk about the tutoring center a little bit?
So we do hold review sessions for specific classes when it comes to like midterm week or finals week. Any classes that you need help in, or you want to set up sort of like a study group, you can do that. I was gonna say teach club. Sometimes we talk about stuff that you'll need in preparation for like your career in the future and like after graduation. We kind of try to or something I've been trying to do is every other week we'll do like an activity or something we can take in the classroom, and then like an information session. So that's a really cool group of students, and we all like range in like grades, so like from first years to seniors. So that like range of experience is really cool because you can ask your peers questions like, hey, how do you write a lesson plan? Or hey, do you know how to do this case study? Stuff like that. So it's like building that community of support.
All right, well, I'll give the students attending a couple minutes to submit any last questions that they have. While I do that, I do have one question for each of you. Do you have any advice to give to these high school juniors and seniors, or is there something that you wish you knew before you got to college?
You don't have to have your whole life plan right now. Like there's a lot that can change. And I'm pretty sure there's a huge percentage of students that, have major changes and, adding different minors. So once you go to college, you'll discover like so many new different opportunities. So don't feel like you have to have it all planned out right now.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, when you get here, like you're gonna find your people, and like you're gonna become very close with the people in your major. So use those people, lean on those people, and like your professors too. You become very close with your professors. So like use those resources if you have questions, if you're like having concerns about classes, like talk to your professors, talk to your classmates, because they're really going to be a huge system of support for you over the 4 years. And even like before you get here, like reaching out in like social media groups, like talking with people at admissions events, like building those connections early is really great.
Going off of what Alex was saying about like not knowing what to do. Like, yeah, it's okay to come in undecided. I came in as something different than what I am now, like something completely different. And you just like realize going through those classes, maybe freshman year, like that's just not for you, and that's okay. You don't need to know freshman, sophomore year, like you're 18, 19 years old. Like it's okay to figure it out after. It's okay to figure it out even after you graduate, go back to school for something else.
And then, sorry, I'm typing at the same time because they're asking admissions questions too. So there is one. They want to know how many students from other countries are in the education program at EC. If you know at the top of your head.
I don't know at the top of my head. Our class sizes get quite small by the time we get into the junior year. We have one student from another country, an English language learner in our junior cohort. So, that's how I can best answer that question. I would say that the supports at the college, though, helped that individual feel really connected and get the resources that he needed early on. So I think that, once I'm teaching the junior level courses right now, and we do have one student from another country.
And then last question. I kind of gave them my answer. I told them to email me, but are there any like specific education scholarships available while they're at EC?
I really don't know in terms of scholarship, but one thing that I do know, and I know very well, is that if you have federal grant money for EC, for college, and you work in a high needs school after graduation, a Title I school, they call it. We actually explore what Title I schools are when you're in your college classes. But if you work at a Title I school for 5 years after leaving college, the federal government eliminates all of your federal loans up to like $17,500. So one pathway, and I've had, being a teacher in schools, my colleagues specifically got that kind of loan. They got the federal grant money, they got the federal loans, and then they taught in the same school for 5 years. And when they got up on year 5, they submitted a paper and literally have told me that the 17,500 will completely erase off their loans. I have recently checked to confirm that that does still exist, but I am also very aware that the government is reanalyzing the use of or the ability to eliminate school loans. So it's something I'm continually watching, but you might want to just Google Title I schools or Title I funding for teachers and confirm that. But it's out there for you if you do have federal money.
Awesome. Oh, sorry, I was looking at another question. Okay, I don't see any more questions, so thank you all for coming. If you need anything, feel free to contact admissions. We'll be there. I can also get you in contact with Dr. Johnson or any of the 3 students that are here. Thank you, and I will see you all later.
Thank you.
Thank you.